Reddit, what is your Tinder horror story? Well, I've only gone on one Tinder date. We talked for a bit and I agreed to pick her up at Starbucks. She looked nothing like her pictures, but I thought I should be nice and at least hang out with her for a bit. We went to her place and the entire house reeked like cat pee. Like saturated. Then as she proceeded to show me her massive collection of animal tail butt plugs, she screamed at her chihuahua and smacked it right on the nose and without missing a beat just asks if I want to make out on the couch. I awkwardly sat down and pretended to look at my phone and made up that my grandma was dying so I could GTFO. I see this a lot, that they look nothing like their pictures but I should be nice and not run off thing. But that's already a pretty big lie right up front. It reminds me of that video that went viral a bit back where someone wore a fat suit on dates they got from dating sites. Anyone that left was an asshole somehow. I would turn and leave right then and there. That's already a big sign they're not on the level. I think considering the immense pressure to be hot, I would be somewhat understanding. Within reason, of course. If your picture shows a 20-year-old Brad Pitt, and the person in front of me looks more like Joe Exotic, then that would be stretching the truth quite a bit. Both would be fine, and either can turn out to be a dickhead. I think the issue isn't so much the attractiveness as much as the idea of honesty. We all want honesty from our partners, however brief the interaction. This guy asked me if I would be interested in dating his dad. Pretty sure that guy was a catfish of said dad pretending to be guy. Probably. The message he sent me was so weird. He gave me my first kiss. I didn't hear from him for 2 days. On the third day he texted me that he had been arrested. Haven't heard from him since. This is sad but probably the lightest reply here. Yeah, it's kind of funny lol. Depending on what he got arrested for. Lol, still better than my first kiss. We were supposed to meet at 9 p.m. He fell asleep and called me at 9:30 when I was already at the carnival. I told him not to bother coming as I didn't want to see him. He asked for another chance and I agreed. Unfortunately, my dad got really ill and had to spend the next 6 weeks in the hospital with me visiting him daily. I had no time for dates and he got extremely mad. He made a fake Instagram account which he used to follow me and everybody that I followed. He then saw me in a friend's Instagram story and showed up to the restaurant we were at. He called me a whore and a liar and we had to threaten to call the police because he would not leave. Edit. Some of you were asking how it ended and I'll just add this to my comment. He had my number and kept calling me using different phones. I knew it was him because he'd just be silent and I could hear him breathing. He did this for over 10 months, I was even living in a different country towards the end. One day I was expecting a call from a friend and had a missed call from a landline so I called back. It was his mom. I explained to her what was happening and after a long silence she said, "Please don't call the police, I will talk to him." Never heard from him again. That is another level of fucking creepy lamau. Yeah, especially considering I had never met him in person. He really outed himself as a weirdo. Met up with a Tinder girl at Dave & Buster's. She brought me there for a fucking pyramid scheme sign-up presentation. Guess I respect the hustle. Happened to me in college, but this was in the early 90s so no Tinder obviously. Met this attractive girl on campus, we had coffee, then lunch, nothing ever physical but she seemed into me. One day she calls me, asks me to come by her office, I'm thinking weird, but okay. I go, she meets me and she brings me in this room, and there's about 10 other guys around my age all sitting around this conference table. We're all looking at each other with these WTF expressions on our face. Then the girl comes back in with her boss and the sales pitch started. This one made me laugh. I'm just loving the scene of a room full of guys all slowly coming to the realization that they've been honeypotted to a pyramid scheme presentation. This actually wasn't all that uncommon back in the 90s. MLMs were scum then too. Matched with my BFF's fiancée after the engagement party. Screenshots of everything and lost my BFF because I don't play that. I was uninvited to the wedding. Marriage lasted 18 months. If I'm reading this correctly, you were uninvited to the wedding because you were a good friend and showed them that their fiancé was on a hookup/dating site? My worst Tinder experience was pretty traumatizing for me at the time. I was a sophomore in college and she was a junior or senior at the same school. The first time we ever hung out, I went over to her apartment and we just watched some Netflix and hung out. Nothing crazy. I was thinking this chick is super cool, we may have something here. So I leave telling her I'd like to see her again if she's down. She told me she would love to and just hit her up whenever and we'll make some plans. We start texting/Snapchatting throughout the week and organize some plans for the following weekend. Out of nowhere, she starts sending me unsolicited nudes. Never once asked for them, and when we were hanging out the weekend prior, there was no sexual activity at any level. We quite literally Netflix and chilled. It caught me off guard, but I was more than cool with it. I'm a young college guy and this hot older chick wants to send me nudes after only hanging out one time? Say less. Fast forward to the weekend, she comes to my apartment and we're hanging out with my roommates watching something on TV. She asks me if she can stay the night, and after sending nudes to me all week, I kind of figured what was up, so in my head I'm like, fuck yes. But I tell her of course, and to be polite I offer to sleep on the couch because we've only known each other for all of about 2 weeks and have only seen each other in person one time prior. She tells me she'd rather me sleep in my bed with her, so I know it's on. We get to Netflix and chilling in my room and I make a move. We start to hook up and eventually wind up having sex. I wore a condom and finished inside of it and tossed it off to my side of the bed. As we're laying there after a few minutes, she gets up abruptly, comes around to my side of the bed and grabs the condom off the floor and runs into the bathroom. I'm a little confused, maybe a little concerned, but kind of brush it off. As I'm laying there in my bed I hear a loud crash in my bathroom. She yells fuck. I ask if she's okay and get no response. I'm a little concerned, thinking this girl just fell in my bathroom and cracked her head open or something. I go to open the door and she is standing in my shower with one leg propped up trying to shove the condom up her vagina after she flipped it inside out. I freak out, no clue what to do. She's clearly freaked out and probably embarrassed. I have no clue. I shut the door and she immediately comes back out, says she's gonna leave, and I say sounds good. I never hear from her again. Fresh off a breakup on campus, match with this really good looking girl who is talking pure filth. Obviously I'm just an idiot with a hurt heart, so I don't question much, head over to her place a few days later. She insisted I come over on a certain day at X o'clock. Usually I would have been sketched out, but it was the middle of the day on a B1G10 campus. What exactly could go that south? Half hour in, her husband came home. I was being used in revenge plot. No more Tinder. I'd like to hear the rest of the story. What was she seeking revenge for? What did he do when he saw you? 3 of them played Uno together. Chatted with this girl for about 2 weeks. Every conversation went well and eventually, I got her number and she started sharing nudes and speaking dirty. Late on evening after a stressful workday she talks me into driving an hour to come get coffee with her. She spends the next hour and a half non-stop talking about her ex and how she has to see him at the bank and all this personal upset ex-girlfriend stuff. She cuts me off anytime I try to speak or change the subject right back to him. A day later I get a text about how I didn't do any talking and I was too boring to be anything more than just friends with. She got irate when I pointed out she would not allow me to speak and only wanted to talk about her ex-boyfriend when we have never once had a slow or boring conversation before meeting up. Let's go hunting. Can I have a gun? No, you don't get to have one. I'm never inviting you hunting again. You didn't shoot anything. You were supposed to catch them with your bare hands. Met a guy, decent conversation, smart, funny, mutual nerdy hobbies. We decide to meet up at the local gamer bar and play some games while having our first date. Get in. Sit down. Dude has no teeth. Says a hack dentist told him they all had to be removed, couldn't get dentures due to budget, needed to wait for bone shards go fall out of his gums, etc. Proceeded to spit all over our food while talking, which granted, I knew he couldn't help, but if he can hide something this big from someone, what else could he be hiding? Plus I couldn't stomach the thought of making out with someone with no teeth. Jesus, this can't be real lol. Are hack dentists really something we need to be worried about? Yes, The Atlantic wrote a long article about the duplicity of many dentists. How prolific is this in Western/first world countries? I've liked my dentist for the past 10 years, but last time I went, after a routine cleaning he spent like 5 minutes talking about how scientists are warning that cell phones could be causing unforeseen cancer problems, especially in your thigh near your pocket. I was like, seems sensible, but is this really a dental concern or just goodwill or alt science craziness? He showed me a radiation meter, useful since they do x-rays, yes, and yeah, it goes IP near phones, but in my mind, I figured it's still negligible, like how bananas and granite put off radiation, or how ignorant people are scared of nuclear power. Talked to him for 2 weeks before we went out and no red flags, so we ended up going out to dinner. I said I hadn't been out in a while because I was trying to save money for a washer and dryer. He told me instead of saving for that I should save for a boob job. I didn't even know how to reply, so he followed up with, no, it's not a bad thing. My sister and mom both had small tits and got boob jobs and they look amazing. This is all before the waitress even brought our drinks. I just got up and left. Holy mother of WTF? Good choice to bolt. That might have been a test. If you'll take that as constructive and not take offense, he was going to keep testing to determine your boundaries. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have a similar story, share it in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. Have a great day, or night.